Welcome back to Dark Souls. Today we're in No Man's Wharf. If you're arriving here for the first time, bring iron arrows or heavy bolts. You'll need them for later on, and bring all your equipment, your unwanted equipment with you. Swords, armour, sets, bring it all. Because you'll get very few opportunities to do what we're going to do later on. You can see the arrows are raining down on us as soon as we come through here. Light a torch as well, it's very dark around here. And dodge out the way while you're around here because you're going to have arrows coming in at you from that annoying archer over there. And you really want to take him out as quickly as possible. And even if you take damage in the process, just do it. Just get him out of the way. He's probably the most irritating archer, maybe not the most, but definitely one of the most irritating archers in the game. So come down here, watch out for the water, don't fall into it. Yes, that was a jar he was throwing at us. It's a jar of oil, and what happens is if the oil hits you, you're then vulnerable to being ignited basically and immolated by flame because of the fire arrow combusting, causing the oil to combust. So just be careful, and if you do get hit by oil, you can actually go into certain parts of the water. There's certain safe areas you can go into and that'll wash the oil off. So these are Varangian sailors. These guys were brought here as slave labour. I'm not sure if it was King Vendrick that brought them here or another king, but they were brought here anyway on the ships as slave labourers. Or I think they actually came initially as in a mission of conquest from the north. So these guys are basically the equivalent of Dark Souls 2 Vikings. I wasn't sure how dark it was going to be for you guys watching this, so I turned up the brightness a wee bit. And I'm using, at this point I'm using Durante's mod with downsampling and AA enabled and whatnot. I would highly recommend downloading that if you haven't already. And I've also got some mods running here. Anyway, take this guy out, because if you don't, you'll get an ambush as you progress forward. That'll trigger these two guys to come out of the buildings. These are just undead hollows. We've already encountered these guys in the forest. And it's likely that these undead hollows were brought here to be transported away from Drang Lake, that we're going to be putting the ships and taking wherever. Because this eventually became, you can go into the water here, so if you've been inflicted by the oil, or you've got the oil coated all over your armour, you can come in here and wash it off. And there's a guy up here, so we'll take him out. But yeah, King Vendrick, once the spread of the undead plague began, he wanted to ship off as many affected hollows as possible, and he brought them here to the wharf. To take them away in ships to different parts of the world. And we've got a new enemy type over here. This is a Dark Lurker, Dark Stalker, sorry. These guys, probably like rats on a ship, they probably entered one of the Varangian ships, or the ships that came into the wharf somewhere, some part of the world, and they disembarked here. These guys, as you can see, are frightened of flame. So you use flame to your advantage, because if you don't, they just instantly start attacking you. But you can put them in a defensive posture by using the flame, and you get your hits in then. There's an item up there. But be careful, because when you've got your torch in your hand, and you're vulnerable to having oil, you know, the oil attack, and there's a guy up here throwing jars of oil, and somewhat foolishly I've still got my torch up. And I was actually wanting to demonstrate what happens if you've got a torch in your hand here, but for some reason it never connected, so I just eventually took him out. But make sure you take this one out before you go any further, because he can be quite annoying. And there's a dog and another Varangian over here. And missing quite horrendously with my bow there. But we managed to get the dog in the end. And it's a wee ambush waiting over there. Going over there can be valuable for some players because there's a Pharaoh's Lockstone over there, and what the Pharaoh's Lockstone in this area does is it illuminates the area and causes a number of those dark stalkers to basically scurry for the corners and hide from you. I've never used it myself, this is just from reading on different forums and whatnot. But yeah, apparently they scurry to the corners if you use the Pharaoh's Lockstone. And but I think it's a waste of a Lockstone, to be honest with you. And you get a few different types of the Varangian sailors. You get the ones with the swords there. Pick up their armour. The coastline stretches far in northern Drang Lake. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent said to be the home of things inhuman, like the Darkstalkers. So come round here and take this guy out straight away, and then turn around quickly because there might be a dog after you at this point, and a sailor. They can drop their armour, they can drop their sword. The best thing they drop in my opinion is the sea bow. Sea bow as in like a bow and arrow, and the sea bow has one of the greatest ranges of all the bows in the game as I understand it, and that was lucky there. I managed to dodge it so effectively. Come back in here, there's an item around here. Ring of Life Protection, so this is a very useful ring in the game. It's the same as the ring that you use in Dark Souls. Ring of... not... what's it called? Oh, that's so annoying, I know the name off the top of my head all the time, now I've forgotten it. Anyway, don't destroy this, this is basically a barrel of oil. If you destroy it and then come over here, you can be hit by a fire arrow and then killed basically in one-shotted. Take this guy out because he can be a bit annoying as well. So the ring that we just picked up there allows you to put the ring on if you die, and then, you know, it basically acts as an insurance policy, and you can have it repaired by a blacksmith, and you can use it in boss rooms as well. You know, if you want to go into the boss room and you don't want to lose your souls, use that ring and then get it repaired, because it breaks obviously once you die. And obviously, yeah, use a torch at this area because you've got quite a number of these dark stalkers. They're also susceptible to fire bombs, and you'll see me using them in a minute because there's more of these guys to take care of. They can bleed you, and bleed is very annoying in this game. They also have the chance to drop Radiant Life Gems, and interestingly enough they have the chance to drop the Pyromancer set. Yep, there's an NPC up there, we'll talk to him soon. They have the chance to drop the Pyromancer set, which is interesting because they're afraid of flame. So what did they do, eat a bunch of Pyromancers? I guess that's what we're to infer from that. So there's a room full of them here. The Witching Urns didn't really do much damage against them. The Black Fire Bombs take a considerable amount of health off them. And that was an absolute waste. So just be careful, they can do that. And what happens eventually is they start losing their fear of the flame if you hold it for long enough. They lose their inhibition. And as you can see, they've got massive reach with their claws. And now I'm bleeding, and look at my stamina. My stamina's been like... they've removed like a third of my stamina. That'll eventually come back once the bleed meter disappears. Yep, there you go, it's back again. But it's very, very annoying being bled in Dark Souls 2. So I guess maybe the reason they're scared of fire is because that's what the Varangian sailors use to control them. And there's another bugger up here. Interesting enemies though. It's good to see something like this in Dark Souls. Because they're memorable, you'll remember them. And I love the noise they make as well, it's really annoying and grating and... It's not scary, but it's annoying. So that's the famous Gavlan. And I actually think Gavlan's the beard, and you'll see why in a second. So we pick up the greatsword here, and the greatsword is cartoonish, it's so big. And be careful with this treasure chest. You'll either get poison, booby trap, or arrows. And so far we've only encountered arrows, so make sure you put your shield up. But it could be poison, so if it's poison, back off. We pick up silver talismans, which allow you to, they're like chameleon, they allow you to blend in. It's a PvP item. Old Knight Greatsword, I picked it up when I was doing a wee tiny bit of farming. And here's the Greatsword, the Ultra Greatsword or whatever it is. So Gavlan, how can he drink and talk at the same time? Doesn't make sense, that makes me think...
Who are you? I, Gavlan. Gavlan will.
See what I mean?
Gavlan deal. Gavlan wants soul. Many, many soul.
I'm half joking obviously about Gavlan being his beard, but it does make me wonder if there is something
you want.
there that we're supposed to
With
read
Gavlan,
into.
You will. You deal.
Unless they've just got really strange anatomy and they're able, their larynx is detached or separate from their esophagus. Anyway, Ring of Giants increases your poise. Some more lore about Lothian or Lothian. Very useful items, poison arrows, poison knives, also extremely overpowered. We'll buy, as we go through the game, we'll be buying all the stuff he sells in terms of poison, apart from maybe the poison resin. I won't be buying as much of that. And also the moss, the poison moss, you can pick that up, or we get that as a drop somewhere in the next area actually, so... but you can sell your items, unwanted items to Gavlan, and we're going to sell some weapons, we're going to sell some armour. I'm not going to show all on screen obviously. Sell, if you're not using multiplayer with your character, sell all your cracked red eye orbs and your blue eye orbs and all that, because you get good price for them. Look, 3,000 souls for like 6 of them or whatever. And we'll see Gavlan later. I have no idea what's supposed to be in here, if anything. Just a wee odd kind of bit of the level. And I've changed over to the fire sword, longsword. These guys also have combo attacks, like that's one of the combos, and that breaks your guard with the kick. And they have a 4-hit combo which can take a lot of your health from you. Bad luck with the oil, mate. And I think their armour set's decent. It's not one I'm interested in, but I think it's supposed to be decent. So we're going to ring this bell, and you can see that the ship, the Goonie ship, is over there. This area reminds me of the Goonies from the Steven Spielberg produced film from the 1980s. So there's a few Varangians on the ship. There's another sniper spot below, so we'll go to that and try and take him out. And it's worth keeping your eyes open in this level because there's a few wee ambushes waiting for you here and there. Especially down at the next bit we're going to. So again, Dark Souls always kind of provides, you know, their level design is usually pretty good. The guys at From Software know that they should leave items that are beneficial in the area for you to pick up so that you get the hint, you know, and in this case obviously they're trying to tell you that fire is helpful against these Dark Stalkers. But yeah, I definitely find that interesting that they can spew up or they can drop the Pyromancer stuff. So iframes there worked, and as you put more points into adaptability and as your agility goes up, and it's directly affected by your agility, iframes in this game, you get more iframes, and we'll be trying to get over 100 agility. I think at this point I've got about 97. Anyway, come out here, and you can snipe him from over here obviously, and I would advise doing that because he's a pain in the bum. You can see fire does a lot of damage against him. And yeah, like I say, their bow is very good. It has like a range that's, the range in mine is like, let's say the range in mine is like 45 I think it is. The range in their bow is 65. And you need 16 and 15, 16 strength. Wait a minute, let me talk about this area. This wee bit here is very important. Be quiet as you go through the door here. There's 2 sailors sleeping in here, and you can backstab the first one. Now leave the room, don't do what I'm doing. I'm being an idiot here. If you leave the room, this guy will kill himself because he'll hit the pots, and these pots are filled with poison, and he'll inflict poison upon himself and die. Instead, I didn't do that, I messed around, and now he's out here, and for some reason or another I make an absolute mess of this fight. And you just go, everyone has experiences like that in Dark Souls where you know how to play the game, you know the mechanics, you know the kind of dangers you're exposed to and whatnot, or to expect, and yet you make the same mistakes. I mean, I'm lucky I didn't die there. I'm lucky I get away with that. I should have finished him off there, but instead, and then I get, you know, just terrible performance there. And I guess that's why I waved my fingers, because I was frustrated at that point. Anyway, come back in here, and this is why I said bring your iron arrows or your heavy bolts to destroy these, or you don't have to destroy all the pots, but you want to destroy, you don't really have to destroy this one, but let's just destroy it anyway. This one over here you want to destroy definitely, because there's an item behind there. Flame butterflies, they're the ones that allow you to start your torch up without having to go to a bonfire sconce. And you can hear that there's a crystal lizard. I think this is the first crystal lizard in the game. And I'm sure you know where he is. He's behind the wall. We pick up an Estus Flask shard there, which is good. And they made this one easy to kill because you can't go anywhere apart from going to another dimension or whatever. So we get a Titanite, 2 shards from him and a large shard, and large shards are quite hard to find in this game. We also get an excellent ring. That's crap. Not bad. Not bad. But the ring we just picked up is a very important ring. It's very similar to Havel's ring. It's not as powerful. These rings were granted to warriors who distinguished themselves in the service of Vendrick. The king favoured simple warriors who staked their all in every battle. But this ring will allow me to put additional, as you can see I've now got the Dragon Lake leggings on and the Dragon Lake gauntlets. So it's allowed me to put additional armour on. Excellent ring, definitely use it at the early part of the game. I won't be sticking with the Dragon Lake armour. I think it's decent armour. It's good armour actually, that's wrong to say it's decent. It's very good armour at the beginning of the game, but there's better armour sets as we go on, as you would expect. And we'll be changing weapons and shields as well. I thought I could hear somebody coming down the stairs, but nope. So what are your guys' thoughts on the game? Are you enjoying it? Are you using Durante's tool to increase the graphics, the quality of the graphics? Is this playthrough okay? I know that I've said it's a guide, but it's only going to be half a guide because I've only played half the game. But I hope it's still helpful for you guys. A lot of the information that I'm getting is from either my own playthrough. I've had a few playthroughs up to halfway point in the PlayStation, using the Covenant of Champions, not playing it normally like I'm doing just now, playing with mages, playing with melee characters, and I always prefer melee personally. The only one I haven't tried is a faith-based character. But I hope this guide does help some people. I kind of panicked here, and you'll see why. He starts to attack the chest, and I was worried that he was going to like destroy it and we'd only get rubbish. So I just went in and started to confront him directly. And what happens normally, if you come from the other direction, because this is where the sailor and his dog were located outside of here, you know, with the stairs where the guy was throwing the oil. So if you come up these stairs, this is the path. If you go right, go down here quietly because there's more of these sailors sleeping. So if you come up those stairs, that guy will drop down on top of you, the one we just defeated, the guy we just defeated. So just be mindful of that. And use a firebomb here. Didn't expect it to take the guy out in one shot, but glad I did. So I know a criticism that might be levelled at me in terms of this guide or playthrough is I'm not doing it, I'm not using the hardest difficulty possible, which is the Covenant of Champions. We pick up the brigands, the armour and the axe and whatnot. And there's a reason for that. In the future I intend to do a Covenant of Champions guide or playthrough or walkthrough, and I'd rather have them separate. In this one I want to get through because this is, you know, this is going to be this is the Pharaoh's Lockstone that you can use here to set up the chandelier and light it. Sorry, pardon me. But yeah, this is my own playthrough as well in terms of me going to be completing the game, and I just want to experience it as it was, you know, without just the kind of normal way that FromSoft expected most people to experience it before I complete it via the Covenant of Champions. So that's the two main reasons I don't want to use the Covenant of Champions just now. Anyway, this is that summon sign right there, that's for Lucatiel. And we're just come back the way we came down here, or came up there, sorry. So we're back here where we came down from after we rang the bell and where the crystal lizard was, and this is the path to go through the level. There's more of these dart stalkers down here. They make an absolute racket. I wonder if, let's say a ship went north, it was sent north to drop prisoners off or to pick Varangian sailors up to bring them back here as slave labour. And I don't know, maybe Vendrick's troops used torches and these beasts were drawn to the flame. And then somehow they realised the flame was dangerous, and that's why they've now developed an inherent fear of it. Or it wouldn't be inherent because that would imply that they weren't attracted to it in the first place, but they've developed a conditioned fear of the flame. Or not, I don't know. So before you go on the ship, you can see that there's two sailors hanging onto the edges of the boardwalk. So we're going to take these guys out. And make sure you do this, because if you don't, you're going to get ambushed from behind when you do go on the ship. I went back to get the torch because I just like to walk through this area with it illuminated. I don't want to walk through here in the pitch dark. I actually fallen into this water once, which was really annoying because I more or less completed the level. This is Carillion of the Fold. He's like a sorcery trainer. So we don't have enough intelligence to interact with him just now.
But it remains dim. I am Carillion, and I've no interest in the magic impaired.
So he has some good equipment, and eventually if you exhaust his dialogue, he'll go back to Medulla.
I am Carillion.
And this contraption here, I'm sure it must do something. I've always been too scared to hit that just in case I fall into the water and then die. I've always meant to come back and do it, and I've always forgotten to do so. But in this occasion you can see me wrestling with the idea in my head. I'm trying to see how far my sword hits reaches, and I decided in the end not to do it because I didn't want to die and then have to go through all the level again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the ship out. There's enemies up here, and normally these sailors don't come out to meet you. Normally what happens is if you've left the guy that we sniped, the sailor that we sniped, if you leave him to deal with him until you come in the ship, these guys don't rush you until you've killed him, and they basically come out the inside of the ship. Yeah, from back there they come out and attack you after you've killed the guy up here. You can see I've got oil on the bottom of my armour set, so you can... it's not a problem here. Although this guy uses a bow, I think. Yeah, he does. And then the boss fight's coming up in a moment, and I'm going to use Lucatiel, because the strange thing about Dark Souls 2 is that in order to... it's not strange I suppose, it's different. In order to... or slightly different, because I suppose we had something like that in Dark Souls with Siegmeyer. But in order to continue these NPC's quest lines or storylines, you need to involve them in your boss fights. I don't think it applies to all NPCs, but certain ones. I know that Lucatiel is definitely one of them. So anyway, I went back. Look, you get Lucatiel by going to the place where you pull the chain, and then the gate comes up, and it gives you access to that wee house, the place where I was concerned that the guy was going to break the treasure chest. Anyway, this boss is actually really easy. All you need is maybe a blossom to get your stamina up, and also when you go in here you're going to face this enemy's like a chimera, like so as you can see there's two sides. One side has swords, the other side has clubs. Stay on the side with the clubs, because that side is slower and is easier to attack. It reacts more slowly after it attacks you, and it's easier to read or anticipate its attacks. So these are like lizard creatures. If you look above their armour, their headpiece, you'll see that their mouth is actually above it, and that their eyes are away at the top. Again, Dark Souls confusing people with where the placement of certain creatures' eyes is. And we had that in Dark Souls 1 with the golems and the basilisks. Lucatiel's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, and I suppose I should have been two-handing my weapon more, but because this creature's, you know, two-sided, I wasn't sure whether it was going to start attacking me or it was just going to focus on her or what. It didn't matter in the end because it's such an easy boss. And that boss is a Flexile Sentry, and a sentry is obviously, as I guess you guys understand, it's somebody that looks after, it's like a caretaker or a janitor who's tasked with looking over inmates or prisoners or people that need to be supervised. And the Flexile Sentry apparently was created to oversee the prison wharf and oversee the prisoners in it, and I suppose it's helpful to create a being that can see 360 degrees all around it. So there we go. That's the description of its soul there. So we'll catch up with Lucatiel at another time. And yeah, it's a Chimera, or I can never get that pronunciation correct. But the same thing as the Sanctuary Guardian from Dark Souls. Or not the same thing, but similar. Don't use that contraption just yet, because with this being the area where we start to get introduced to all the pyromancy stuff, this is where you get the pyromancy glove. And also a spell, pyromancy spell. So now you can use the contraption. I can't remember what that's called, but something to do with navigation. Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. So once you trigger the contraption, the ship starts to sail off. And as you can see, we're heading towards like a building, or a group of buildings that are illuminated by moonlight. This is one of the most interesting areas and atmospheric areas in the whole game. This is one entrance to the Lost Bastille. The other entrance is through the Forest of Giants, after you defeat the Pursuer. And there's nothing in this room as far as I'm aware, apart from this lift. And you'll see that when we got the lift there's an item in a hole in the wall. There you go. And that's a curved sword, and I think it's a soul item. So to get back to this item, you just go to the scimitar. You just go on top of the roof of the lift. So trigger the lift to go down, and then just hop onto the roof of it. In the next episode we'll actually, we'll do the Lost Bastille. You can either go here, there's another area you can go to, but yeah, I think we'll do the Lost Bastille first. So pick up the items in here, a good soul item there. And I wouldn't like to be imprisoned here, it's quite a unnerving place to say the least. And this corridor gives me the creeps, don't know why. So again, you can hear like noises in the background. This isn't the same as the whispers that we heard in the basement of the mansion. Common fruit. This is an item that will definitely be useful later on. We'll use this item to increase our resistance to poison. And like I said before, poison in this game is very powerful. So come in here and tag the bonfire. And in the next episode it will be the Lost Bastille. Thanks for watching.